Welcome back to The Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth, and it's just me today. It is Wednesday, December 8th, and we are going to go ahead and recap Week 13 and head into Week 14, make some predictions and whatnot with all of that. So, just going to be me today. No Curtis Ford today, unfortunately. Had a little bit of a snafu with scheduling, but that's neither here nor there. We're still going to plug along this week, just as we always will. So, like I said, we're going to recap Week 13, then heading into Week 14, we'll touch on some of the news and whatnot that's coming out this week, and heading into this week, rather. We'll get to the power rankings. I'll show you what the top 10 is for Curtis Ford as well. And then we'll also make our game picks. So, starting off, recapping Week 13. We'll go through this pretty quickly, jumping all the way back to last Thursday, almost a week ago now. Dallas took on the New Orleans Saints, and Dallas on the road got the win, 27-17. Good all-around win for Dallas. The only thing is that it just wasn't awe-inspiring, really. They let New Orleans kind of hang around for most of the game and made sure that they never really put them away or crushed any hope that they had of getting back into that game. So that's one thing for Dallas. They offensively, they still need to get rolling fully to really kind of separate themselves in this kind of muddled pack of NFC teams that are vying for a spot, especially as Washington has gone on a little bit of a win streak here. And so really, I think Dallas has a lot of things to be happy about by getting this win, kind of getting that monkey off their back after losing a couple of games there. But they have a lot of stuff to do to continue to be that top team in the NFC if they want to be competitors in these playoffs here. But for New Orleans, I mean, their season's all but done. Even Taysom Hill, I think, got injured in this game as well. So New Orleans is a bit banged up, and without a true quarterback, I don't even think they believe that they have a real opportunity here to try to even make the playoffs at this point anymore. It's kind of every single time they try to take that step forward, it seems like there's something just kind of kicking them while they're down. So the Saints, it's not looking like it's going to be a pretty end to the season. But speaking of ugly ends, the Bears lose at home 22-33 against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are the first team and only team right now to make it to double-digit victories on the season at 10-2 now. Kyler Murray had himself a day. He looked really good coming back off of that injury to his ankle. He actually ran in for 2 touchdowns and threw 2 touchdowns as well. Andy Dalton, 4 interceptions, and think also a fumble, so I think 5 total turnovers from Andy Dalton. 26 for 41 passing, 229 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not a horrible day. David Montgomery, kind of that guy right now over in Chicago, really the only bright spot of the offense right now. 21 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. Just a really solid day on the ground for him. But yeah, Arizona came in there and just kind of smacked around Chicago for a little bit, and then got themselves a W and kind of walked right out of there. Really was never a game. They got a late touchdown, Chicago did, to try to make the score a little bit more respectable. But regardless of that, it was a thorough beatdown of the Bears here. So they really never had any hope from the get-go. Arizona jumped out to an early 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and they kind of just never looked back, never let Chicago think that they had a chance at winning that game or making it a game for that matter. Buccaneers take on the Falcons, got themselves another win, 30-17. Bucks just doing their job, doing what they were supposed to do and getting that win there. Brady looked good. He's really trying to make that case for the first 45-plus-year-old guy to get I think he's, 44 now? He's up there, but he's trying to make that case for MVP right now, which I think him and Jonathan Taylor right now should be the front runners for that award. But, yeah, Tom Brady goes ahead and throws for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns. Again, the only thing good from Atlanta in this game was Cordell Patterson, 13 carries for 78 yards. Just a solid game for him. And Chris Godwin sighting was nice. 15 receptions. I think he had like 19 targets or something like that. So they were going to him all night long, and 143 yards. He had himself a day. So The Buccaneers just kind of rolled in this game. There was no real concern on their part if they were ever going to be able to pull this game out. But yeah, they Falcons. They're a team to me right now that they can try to hang in there at the beginning because this is multiple weeks now that they've stayed in the game for the most part in the first half, even if it looked ugly. But score wise, they were only down by 3 by the end of the second quarter, and then bottom falls out in the second half, and they're not able to do anything. So that's just kind of the story of Atlanta's season. I just think that they don't have enough offensive firepower to sustain kind of a game plan throughout the entire 60 minutes. So it looks like Atlanta is going to be another team, even though they're at 5-7 and really just outside that NFC playoff picture. It just doesn't look like this is a team that's going to be able to turn into or shift into that next gear to try to make a push for the playoffs right now. It just does not seem like they have what it takes. So it's a little bit concerning, but we'll see how things pan out for them. But the Bucs they continue to roll. They're trying to get into that first place in the NFC, trying to catch Arizona there because they really want to try to get to a point where they can get that bye week heading into the playoffs. I think that's their sole focus right now. Heading over to the AFC side of things, the Chargers go ahead and take on the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Chargers looked good finally this season. All across the board, they played a very well game, but it does come with a caveat that Joe Burrow ended up getting injured in this game, so if he was fully healthy for the full game, where could that have gone? Is kind of the question that is left to be desired, but overall, Chargers offensively, finally, this was a good offensive game from the Chargers' perspective here. They really attacked well. Justin Herbert, 317 yards, 3 TDs on 26 for 35 passing. Just kind of what you expected from him this season. I think that's going to be one of the things moving forward for the Chargers to kind of focus on trying to get Justin Herbert to play a little bit more consistently, more effectively, and more efficiently. That's always going to be the end goal. But yeah, this is a team right now that is getting hot, and they're getting hot at the right time. Austin Eckler came into this game 14 carries for 59 yards and touchdown. Again, just a solid day out of him. It's really all you need out of him when you've got Justin Herbert moving the way that he is. Just kind of stay on schedule, make sure that we don't get behind the chains or anything like that, and they keep plugging away. T. Higgins had a good game for the Cincinnati side of things. 9 receptions on 138 yards and a touchdown. So solid game out of him. Just without Joe Burrow fully healthy for this game, that really just put a damper on things and on Cincinnati's offense. They weren't able to keep pace with Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense going into the second half, and so Chargers kind of just ran away with it towards the end there. The Lions, let's talk about it. The Lions got themselves a win. It's the talk of the week right now. Minnesota is kind of the laughing stock of the league right now. Lions get a win at home, 29-27, and I was talking to Curtis Ford about this, and I'm really upset with myself because going into this, and I think I mentioned it last week, but I definitely mentioned it in weeks prior when Minnesota barely escaped with that win at home versus the Lions and got that 19-17 win against them. I said, go on the flip side, this game here is going to be the game to watch out for because I really do think the Lions are going to continue to play good football, which they have, and eventually they're going to get a win. And why couldn't it be the Minnesota Vikings? And I just feel really bad that I did not take the Lions in this game specifically because that is something that I did harp on so hard just a few weeks prior. But congrats to the Lions. Finally got that monkey off their back. They're 1-10-1 right now, and yeah, they deserve the win. They played a really good game. They tried to give the game back to Minnesota there, but hey, Minnesota is just somebody had to lose to them, and why not you? And so you guys dropped the ball, 29-27. You guys get to be laughed at for the rest of the season for losing it to a team that, mind you, with this win, did keep their playoff hopes alive. They are not eliminated just yet. There is only one team in the league that is eliminated, and we'll get to them in just a bit here. But yeah, the Lions, they keep their playoff hopes alive. They keep playing hard for MCDC over there. So it was just exciting to see the Lions pull off that last second win. Great pass from Jared Goff. You don't get to hear that every day. But man, what a game this was. A little bit of a lackluster game. Miami getting a win, their 5th straight win. But 6-7 now. Miami Dolphins are after beating the New York Giants 20-9. Yeah, I think New York's done. Mike Glennon coming in here to try to spell Daniel Jones did not work out. They're now, I think Daniel Jones has a neck injury and Mike Glennon has a concussion now, so they're just kind of reeling all over the place, and it's just not a good situation over there in New York. That whole organization needs to be dismantled right now. But Miami and Tua Tagovailoa, man, Tua's looked like a completely different quarterback these last few weeks, and he's finally coming into his own. Glad to see that he's trying to make a case to remain Miami's quarterback. I really think as Tua's been playing better and better every week for the last few weeks now, and with definitely with a statement game like this, 30 for 41 passing, 244 yards, and 2 touchdowns, he's saying, hey, whatever team is looking to, with Houston or any other team that is, if they are going to try to trade for a quarterback, if it is Deshaun Watson, if it is Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson for that matter, if anybody, if they are going to trade, say, hey, I am still an asset. You can still trade for me, flip quarterbacks, and we can go ahead and make that run. Otherwise, Miami, hey, you drafted me. I'm still, I'm not damaged goods or anything like that. I can still play, sort of thing. But Tua comes out there and really makes a statement to whatever team he's playing for. Hey, you got a guy here that you can build around. It is kind of what that statement was that he made. And Jalen Waddle, quiet as kept, has been pretty consistent over the last few weeks, being a reliable target for Tua as well. I think that's a relationship, a chemistry thing that's happening right now, is Tua and Jalen Waddle coming together and looking better and better every single week together. But consistency, 9 receptions, 90 yards, solid game out of him. No touchdown, but was able to help them keep the ball moving down the field. A little interconference play here. The Eagles go on the road to beat the New York Jets. Philadelphia gets a 33-18 win without Jalen Hurts. Gardner Minshew was kind of leading the charge here for Philadelphia. 20 for 25 passing, 242 yards, and 2 touchdowns out of Gardner Minshew. Solid game all around. They just go right into MetLife Stadium there and just kind of punch the Jets in the mouth. And they kind of shut it down from the second quarter on, and really the Jets didn't have any kind of response there. Miles Sanders, 24 carries for 120 yards, just keeping that ball moving down the field. Dallas Goedert, 6 receptions, 105 yards, and the 2 touchdowns there. Had himself a career day, and really earning that new contract that he just got there. Another divisional matchup that happened here on Sunday was the Colts taking on the Texans. Texans are the only team that are mathematically eliminated after this loss here. Too many losses inside of the division right now. Colts get a win 31-0, completely shut out the Houston Texans here. Carson Wentz, another solid game out of him, 16 for 22, 158 yards, and a touchdown. But the other MVP candidate right now, Jonathan Taylor, was that guy. 32 carries, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns rushing. And Michael Pittman Jr. coming out there being a quiet as kept as well. A really steady target for Carson Wentz. Michael Pittman has really become a reliable wide receiver for Carson Wentz over there. 6 receptions and 77 yards. Again, keeping that ball moving down the field. Just a great win for Indy. Now, keep in mind, this is the Houston Texans, but it is a divisional matchup, is why it is a really good win for them there. Plus, they get to eliminate the Texans from even thinking that they have a shot at getting this, because no matter what, the Colts now will have that tiebreaker, and that is why Houston is eliminated. Is because with the 2 wins out of Indy right now against Houston, they do eliminate them if Houston goes on a run to end the season 7-10, and the Colts completely fall off and finish the season 7-10. Boom. That's the tiebreaker right there. Puts the Colts above them and knocks them out of the playoff race. Now, Washington, snooze fest of a game over there in Vegas. Both teams end up 6-6, but 17-15 was the final score of the Washington football team heading into Vegas against the Raiders there. Just another kind of demoralizing loss for the Raiders. I think the Raiders are just about done here. They're all but dead in this playoff race, and they're another team where it's like, yeah, you can make it. Like, yeah, mathematically it's a possibility, but just like with the Saints, just like with the Falcons over there in the NFC, with this AFC playoff picture, they're one of those teams that are on the bubble right now that I'm just like, oh, you're on a downward trajectory right now, and it's just not looking good for you guys, because whatever chemistry issues you guys may have, or whatever internal turmoil you guys have, it's not panning out right now. So Washington, though, is on a streak right now. They are playing really good football all around. Defensively, they again, I've said it for the last 2 weeks. This is going to be week 3. The defense that we thought they were going to come into the season with has finally showed up, and they have arrived. So that is going to be something to worry about for any team that has Washington left on your schedule. Watch out, because this team really does have a defense that's going to make it hard for your offense to score points. But on top of that, you got a guy like Antonio Gibson that's going to continue to just move the chains. 23 carries for 88 yards in this game. Just solid game out of him. No touchdowns, but was able to move the ball fairly efficiently, keep him ahead of the chains. And then a guy like Taylor Heineke, who's just kind of that field general, kind of game manager type quarterback, who I think, again, should be Washington's long-term solution, at least for the moment, at quarterback. I think he's a guy that if you give him a chance and you kind of build around him, he can get this team to the playoffs for 1, and 2. I mean, he's played well in the playoffs. I mean, we saw him last year, and he almost took out the champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he's one of those guys, and that was on short notice too. But neither here nor there. He is a guy who's looking really, really good, and I think teams need to start looking at him like a true threat now. Continuing with Sunday's games here, the last 4 in that midday window on Sunday. The other 3. Rams go ahead and take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, get themselves a win finally. They snapped that 3-game losing skid that they were on. Matthew Stafford had himself a day, 26 for 38, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sony Michel running the ball very efficiently, 24 carries, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had himself a day, 8 receptions, 129 yards, and a touchdown. And I'm sure OBJ, this was a day where OBJ did get involved a little bit, not as effectively as you would want. Only 2 receptions on 5 targets, 28 yards. But he did get a touchdown. So they are trying to bring him into the fold here. It's just a matter of when he is going to get everything fully down and with the playbook and whatnot. And then just building that chemistry I think is going to take a little bit of time for them. But as they can keep building on this and keeping Cooper Kupp involved, and if Sony Michel can be one of those guys that can come in and spell Darrell Henderson a little bit more, that's going to be huge for this offense to continue to get clicking and continue to get rolling. And then defensively, kind of meshing Von Miller in there a little bit better is going to be a key for them. But it's nice for them to get that monkey off their back, as I don't think they had a win in the month of November, so that was big for them to get that win. The Baltimore Ravens, they lose a divisional matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh gets to 6-5-1, 8-4 for the Ravens now as they fall 20-19 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris is that guy, 21 carries, 71 yards, keeping that ball moving down the field. Deontay Johnson finally had his big game of the season, and I think that's going to be all we see of him for the rest of the year. 8 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, though, 23 for 37, 253 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. And he also did have a fumble on the day, so not the best outing for him. They really need to clean up their turnovers, Baltimore does. If they can start taking care of the football a little bit more, that'll be key for them. But even though this was a divisional game, even though it was on the road, still, this is a game that you have to have in this AFC that's really, really tight right now, with a lot of teams vying for that top spot. And in a surging New England team, that is a tough game for you to go out there and lose. So just John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, all of the defense have to be disappointed in that performance there. They have to be better, and I think they all know that. Same thing for the 49ers. They lose 23-30 in a divisional matchup against the Seahawks. The Seahawks have been dead for so many weeks now. They finally get up to 4-8. But the Seahawks have been counted out in this division for at least 3-4 weeks now, and now look at them. They're beating a team that is right on the bubble right now. I think they have the 7th seed right now in the NFC playoff picture. But they have to pull this game out. You don't score a single point in the second half. That's already demoralizing in itself. But man, that is not okay for one, but two, just how can anybody take this team seriously when you're losing to a Seahawks team that is just completely decimated right now, and really not clicking? So just a bad loss there for the 49ers. They have to be better. There's not much more to say there. The Chiefs on Sunday Night Football were able to pull out a pretty solid win here, 22-9 against the Denver Broncos, another divisional matchup that happened this week. And they got themselves a win. They need to get their offense going a bit better. But a win is a win, and they'll take whatever wins they can get, especially when they come in division. So, good thing for the Chiefs there. They're continuing to kind of stay steady there at the top of the AFC. And wrapping things up goes into Monday night. Patriots go ahead on the road, get a win against the Buffalo Bills in a crazy weather game that really was just a win fest, really. But Patriots get the win. They get to 9-4. They are the top of the AFC right now. Josh Allen, I don't think this is a game that's Josh Allen's fault. I think this is the run defense the rushing offense of the Buffalo Bills coming out there and just kind of putting up a dud. They got a couple of big plays. And for people saying that the Buffalo rush defense was dreadful, I really don't see where we're getting that notion from, because when you really look at it, you break down the game. There was one big play, and that was Damian Harris' 64-yard touchdown. You take that one play out, the New England's rushing offense was 38 for 153 yards. It's averaging around just over four yards a carry. Really wasn't. I mean, yes, that's staying on schedule. That's a good rushing day for them, but it wasn't like they were getting absolutely decimated and they were rushing for 6, 7, 8 yards a carry or anything like that. It was just an average day where they were just getting pounded again and again and again, and they let up one bad play. But for the most part, they shut them down. They only allowed one touchdown. They held them to 2 other field goals in this game. And for the Bills, they just weren't able to. It was the turnovers, and they weren't able to stay consistent in the run game. Whenever the run game wasn't really working, they had to go to Josh Allen, who was 15 for 30, but he had 145 yards and a touchdown in a game where the wind was blowing so hard they literally could not throw to the right side of the field. So, I'm not chopping this up solely to the weather, because I think this is specifically Buffalo's lack of having a run game. weren't. You saw like their blueprint for this game would have been, hey, let's just run the ball, just like the Patriots are, and whoever can just run better wins, and whoever has a more physical line, boom, we get that win. It's just a tough loss at home within the division. You're already tied with this team. You had to have gotten this win, and that was not the way to show up, and that's just a bad loss for them. And now the Bills are falling. They're now in the wild card spot, and Patriots, I think, a game and a half now are above the Bills. So just a tough loss for the Bills right now. They've got some work to do, and are going to have another shot at them in another couple of weeks. But that's in Gillette Stadium, so it's going to be a tough game in a couple of weeks here. So New England's going to get some rest this week after getting a big win and taking the first place in the AFC, and Buffalo is going to have to make up a lot of ground now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this division finishes, but it is an emphatic win for the Patriots. Great defensive game plan, great offensive game plan, and they still have a lot of their offense at their disposal in a couple of weeks here when they play the Buffalo Bills again, because they only use their run game. They didn't even use their pass game or their RPO game. So it's going to be fun to watch and interesting to see what the game plan is and how the Bills respond here. So that'll do it for the recap. And